Hello, and welcome back to the Colloquial Kitchen. I apologize for the absence of videos lately. Life has been happening. So, today I'd like to talk a little bit about saving money. And this is a very common topic, but is probably going to be more important as we go forward. Meat is sometimes expensive. I know it's a lot more expensive than when I was working as a meat cutter apprentice about 6 years ago. So one of the things I learned was how to take a cheaper cut of meat and make it into a more expensive cut of meat. And the simplest way to do that is to buy a roast and turn it into steaks, fajita meat, stew meat, other meat for example, stir fry. If you look at the prices on all of those, they're $1 to $2 more per pound. That's all labor. You can buy a roast and get steaks, fajita meat, stew meat, ground beef, if you've got a grinder, for that same price as that cheap. Right, so we have here a chuck steak and cats play fighting in the background. When you buy a roast, what you want to look for is a couple of things. One, fat content. I like a lean beef, so I'm going to buy one that doesn't have much fat. Okay? The second and most important thing you want to look for is grain. So all muscle tissue has a grain, a direction that it goes. A roast, if you're throwing it into a roaster, you don't care because it's going to fall apart. If you're turning it into something else, you do care. And what you want is something where the grain is mostly going the long way. Okay? Because when you cut it into a steak, then the grain is going top to bottom of the steak, which makes it more tender. So I'm going to take this, and the grain on this is going kind of diagonal. But I've got my sharp knife. I'm going to decide how thick I want my steak, and I just saved $1 per pound. I just saved $1 per pound. I just saved $1 per pound. And again, that is what you're being charged $1 for. One knife slice. Okay? Now, actually, I'm going to use more of this for stir fry and for stew than I will for steaks. So I'm going to cut thin. Okay. Oh, now we're getting down to the end. It gets a little squishy, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take that thin cut, and you can see how this is just falling apart. Okay? I'm going to cut it into thin strips and cut those strips into small bits. And now I have, I need to sharpen my knife. I have a very tender piece meat that will go great in stir fry. If you're doing fajitas, you make them a little bigger. If you're doing stew meat, I'll take one of these steaks. If you're doing stew meat, you cut it into bigger chunks. And stew meat is where you want to take the bits that aren't the best. So there's stew meat. You want to take the bits that aren't the best, that don't have the best grain, because they're going to slow cook for hours. And it doesn't matter. They're going to fall apart just from the use, or from the cooking. So that's how you save $1 a pound or more on beef.